short video. Israel, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, double honors to the apostle, elder bishops, the great millstone. Much salutation to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be the elect. Most high will to the hopeful extended elect, Shalom, blessings. Contrite spirits returning back to the Most High. Men, women, and children. We're at the last days, the end of the world. And we'll keep prophesying that. This is a short film called A Slave's Story, based on a true story. You know, in the caption, his name is William Craft, and his wife, I guess, Ellen Craft. Married couple devised a bold plan to escape slavery in Georgia. Ellen, who was a light-skinned, disguised herself as a white male slave owner, while William posed as her enslaved servant. Together they embarked on a perilous 1,000-mile journey north, traveled by train, steamboat, and carriage, constantly at risk at discovery. This happened in 1848. Yeah. This crazy because this looks like a young Dan Aykroyd, but it's not. I would have thought this was actually him. Dan Aykroyd, they played in Ghostbusters and Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. Quite, famous for, I would say, a few iconic movies. Anyway, but this is her disguised as a male. And somebody said in the comments, well, the woman that's playing him like a man on the right, and she's still has on lipstick or whatever. How did they not know that was a? And this is not the actual. This is an actress, Of course, maybe they have the real picture of the woman, but and my response was basically like a lot of these Edomite young dudes look like females, and they're pink, reddish, which is described in the scriptures of Esau. He came out red all over like an hairy garment. But the lies and misconception of what they think about us has been displayed in movies, has been taught by their fathers. So they think that we're lazy. They think that we're less educated. They think that we're weak, poor, with a poor mentality. Yet, all that free labor that our people worked in the slave field, not accounted for, And basically, who would want to work for a sleazy, easy, we call him Sleazy E sometimes, bastard like Esau. Anyway, but he is in this clip saying how the Negroes are lazy, but he called us Africans, which we're not Africans, we're Israelites, and we were brought from Africa, the west coast of Africa, mainly. But anyway.
Which I don't, quite frankly. For instance, the African race is a great deal lazier than any other race. But it's a scientific fact. It's been proven beyond doubt. Yet all of us pray that a miracle will transform the nigger into a hard-working, diligent servant.
But the niggers work for only one reason, sir. Merely to avoid the lash. Why, it's a fact that if you moved all the white people from Virginia and gave it to the niggers there now, why, in 10 years' time, not 1 acre of land would be cultivated. Not one, I tell you. Except that which grew by accident.
No doubt you're right, sir.
Well, and basically, they're really right about, Jake has become degenerate. They have become lazy, just what the so-called white man has, you know, said about them. So if you gave America to the Negroes today, and the so-called, the Edomites left, the Negroes will destroy America. And I believe that nothing will be cultivated here, and there wouldn't be, because there would be no order. If there's no order, it says where there is no counsel, the people fall in the Bible. If there's no order, you can't establish a land. You can't build a land to function properly with people in it, with the mentality of driven toward wealth and the beauty of the land, driven toward strong family structure. Jake has proven himself to fail. All the Negroes worry about today, and they do test on us, they do experiments on us, and our people prove. I'm talking about 2/3. They prove them right. Like, yeah, these Negroes are lazy. That's all they think about is, they exploit themselves. Jake, all he think about is box all damn day and getting high and living off food stamps and welfare. Now, I'm not talking about every single Jake, but even the ones that make money and so to speak with a business or have some kind of wealth, have not the mentality of, a nation-based society. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about working together, functioning together as a nation. They don't have that, and that's why it's all, today it's all about self-greed, self-worship. And the scripture says that they should become lovers of themselves. Men should become lovers of themselves. We know these devils are wicked. We're not bypassing that. These devils are wicked as hell. But Jake, it even says in the scriptures, among my people I found wicked men. So.
But there's one thing worse than the nigger's idleness. A disease which has recently taken away one of my very best. This Dr. Cartwright has a name for it. He calls it drapetomania. But he admit he hadn't found a cure for it yet.
Drapetomania? Why, what does that affect, sir? The arms, the lungs, or perhaps the head?
Oh, God knows. Well, the legs mostly, I guess. See, sir, drapetomania is the disease which makes them run away. A disease, so the good doctor says, which is peculiar to niggers. Wouldn't you agree, sir? Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot.
He comes to dinner every Thursday.
And we know, we've gotten it before, even Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai was a so-called black man with woolly hair. He suffered worse than his disciples. He suffered worse, being an example of a so-called black man in a Edomite, so to speak, ruled world with the Romans, Roman emperors. You best believe that they were prejudiced back then. They were racist back then. And there's nothing wrong with being racist. Racist just, and Esau, the way he exercised his racism is, is corrupt, because he doesn't love his own people. He just, anything he could do for greed, money, anything for money, for the control of the land and the people, he'll do, even knocking off his own people. So that wouldn't be, that's not supposed to be among your own race. I mean, okay, you have black on black crime. That's and if you look at if you study that, the black on black crime, and you see the development of that mentality in these neighborhoods, it would make more sense to understand, not bypass it and to give it a pass, but to understand why that kind of criminal behavior happens. And it's usually because of oppression, broken up families, and broken up spirit. And that's what Yahweh Shai said. He came to call that which is brokenhearted, a contrite spirit, because they broke the so-called black man's spirit. Only Yahweh Shai could put it back together, and that's why these devils are mad today. It says, Yahweh Shai said, "You are your father, the devil," John 8:44, because the devil has a seed line upon earth. Not the spiritual demon Satan, but the so-called white man is the counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. His seed is going to be eventually wiped out, but he does have a seed upon the earth, and it tells you that in Job and a lot of other scriptures. You are your father, the devil. So if you have a father, you have children. That's why it talks about, what is that? I think in Psalms or Isaiah, they were children of base men, and there's such thing as the children of the wicked. Just like there's a such thing as children of God and children of men. It says he was a murderer from the beginning, going back to Cain, and bold not into the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So these are lies has been told even throughout our history. Even when you learn about, well, we're unraveling the lies. But he said he was the Egyptian. He said he was he said that he's the Israelite. He's the, Israelite man now, today. He said he was the, the Bible pictures that he had once displayed, and even, sometimes now, it's, you really don't find a Bible with pictures in it anymore. But if you go back far enough, you'll find pictures in the Bible of him only. Like it was no Chinese, there was no East Indian, there was no African, there was no so-called black man, there was no Latino or Native American. If you go back far enough, maybe before 1611, the pictures displayed in the Bible are so-called black people, but they painted over it. No, even before, before that, because you have such thing as iconoclasm, which we mention a lot here at GMS, the destruction of images. The thief, that's, I always get this one, John 10:10, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's what they did, destroyed our heritage. It says, John 10:10, the thief cometh not, and the thief is not going to tell you the truth. He's there to steal your stuff. He's there to kill you. So that's enemy. That's along the lines of enemy. And it says, never trust thine enemy in the Apocrypha. As well as, in the Bible, which is, they're the same. Apocrypha was taken out by the Bible Destruction Group, but it's a part of the Bible. If you get to 1611, it's in there along with the rest of the King James Version scriptures. It says, but the thief cometh not but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And that means destruction. Destroy means with lies, with deception, with telling the people that we're not the people of God, teaching their children at their tables. And they still teach their children at the tables today. Nothing's new under the sun. I have come that they may have life. I was shy, the so-called black man, that they might have it more abundantly. So, and it was all about race back then. It was all about nationality. They said that's not important. That's not what they were teaching back then. Paul expressed himself as a Jew all the time. You know, he even used his Roman citizenship as a means to speak and maneuver to do the work of the Lord. So you know, nationality was, you know, definitely a thing back then, like it is now. Might be more silently represented, but you know, people have that conscious of being where they are, who they are. But we just taking it back to the truth. There's no black and white in the scriptures. It's nationalities. It's race, which is Esau and Jacob and Ham and Elam and Moab and so forth, and Ishmael. Those are people of different nations. That's why Most High says it's going to be nation against nation. You know, a people, one people. It even says of Jacob and Esau, one people shall be stronger than other people. They're not the same people. So, you know, you got to spit out the bones in a lot of these movies and a lot of this history. And that's, you know, we're unfolding the layers to where people are understanding and having the right perspective when they read the Bible, because they read it in a way that they were taught. Even our people, they read it in a way they think the Son of God was a so-called white man. They think he was a Cedric Bajir character that they display in their churches. They think it was written by a so-called white man. All you have to do is, you know, teach the same book but paint the people a different color. And that's, you know, I'm using it more in a symbolic way, because really, you know, there's no, you know, definition by color in the scriptures. It's nationality. So you could, you know, you could look like a so-called white man and be from the children of Israel. And I know the all black tribes, all black nation, would, if you will, or people, they get side-eyed about that, emotional about that, but that's the case. I mean, we could pull them up. Blake Griffin, we could pull him up. One of Quincy Jones's daughters, we could pull them up. How many of our people in the movies and the celebrity world, using that as an example, have passed for white. And even the so-called black people thought they were white. Just like Mariah Carey, you know, and many others. So, you know, hey, you gotta be more, you gotta be wiser than that, man. Simple, it says simple believeth every word, man. So, yeah, we know how to spit out the bones. We know how to, we don't regurgitate. We study and find passages and open doors to other information that is revealed through the Holy Spirit, you know, and apostles, elder bishops, you know, at the anchorman. So, yeah, anyway, hope it is that fine to the next video show.